Hey guys, just picked up my list of questions for my interviewee. My name is Jay McBride and this is my video assignment for Module 4. I did about 10 questions or so for my interviewee. Her name is Jennifer. She's a close friend of the family, well-respected member of the community. She's a charge nurse at the local hospital, and during these trying times, she's definitely expressed some challenges that she has been having as a healthcare professional and a charge nurse. There's a lot of things going on as far as leadership and management challenges with the virus going on, having to change schedules for people that run the slightest temperatures, so they have to fill those gaps. The overload of patients that are coming in, even though it's a small town, an extra 10 people a day is a lot of people. And I imagine that they're seeing an influx greater than that. Just people who are, scared, some that are paranoid, some that are unsure, just showing up, trying to get tests for COVID-19. So I chose her as my interview subject. She delivered our son about 2.5 years ago and really did an outstanding job. She maintained professionalism. She was polite even during a difficult childbirth. Essentially, she saved my son's life. So I kind of feel like I owe her a lot. No, she's a great person. The past 4 modules have been a number of outcomes that I'm going to try to cover with these questions during the interview, and some of those outcomes are to articulate the difference between leadership and management, apply communication knowledge and leadership skills to a workplace scenario, analyze her personal type and style of leadership, accurately assess the quality of her own work and emotional intelligence, apply the concepts of cultural intelligence, and the module outcome to conduct an interview, which we're doing right now. So Jenny will be here in just a few short minutes, and we'll see what she has to say about the questions that I have for her.
I'm Jennifer McGowan, and I currently work in the healthcare industry as a RN and charge nurse. I work on the obstetric unit in the regional hospital.
And what professional fields have you worked in?
I have worked in the education industry as well. I worked as a middle school English teacher for a short time before I changed paths and decided to become a nurse. So I really enjoyed teaching and coaching, but I decided once I had my kids that I wanted something with a little more flexibility. And when I had my kids, I really fell in love with the nurses that took care of me and decided that I really wanted to do for others what they did for me. And it just, I took time off to be home with the kids, and when it was time to go back to work, I had to take some classes to recertify, and it was only a couple more to become a nurse, so I just jumped to a new path.
I'm glad that she brought that up about the change in careers. It's a value-added quality to have worked with people in different fields. You can bring that experience with you to your current position and mentor your subordinates. When you first got into the industry, what was your starting position?
I entered the field as a nurse tech or a nursing technician, like a nurse's aide, while I was in nurse's school.
How have you seen your leadership style grow over the years?
I think the more you get comfortable in any position, the more opportunities you find to be a leader. People look to you once you've got your feet wet and have that experience to lean on. Anytime you're new, it's hard to lead because you're still learning, but once you kind of have a mastery of some of the skills and what the job asks of you, it's easier to kind of start to become innovative and thinking outside the box to get the objectives met. And I think that's really what helped me to start to be more of a leader, being more comfortable in my own skin, so to speak.
In your own words, how would you describe the difference between a leader and a manager?
I think a manager is more of an authoritative figure. There's more of a transaction there. If this, then that. You have to do this or that. Whereas a leader has more flexibility. It's more of a peer. It's more of a respect thing. Leaders get the attention and the followership from appealing to others more than being an authoritative figure to others.
Are you more of a manager or a leader in your current position?
There's a little bit of a combination, but I would definitely say more of a leader in that, I'm peers with the people that I lead. It's not that I have real authoritative, dictatorship over them in any way, but there is a little bit in that, you know, I have to kind of manage the unit, so to speak, when I'm a charge nurse. I have to make decisions about staffing and about our patient census, if we're going to allow, you know, extra inductions or whatever to happen. So there's a little bit of decision-making power, but mostly it's a helper position. You're the one that makes sure everybody gets their breaks and their lunches, and if they need assistance with a patient starting an IV or who knows what, you're that helper bee that runs around and makes sure everything runs smoothly. So it's more of a peer-to-peer leadership thing.
Is your industry gender dominant? Being a healthcare provider, are there more women than men? Because I think typically when people think of nurses, they automatically picture a female in their mind. So would you say that the healthcare industry is generally female dominant?
I would definitely say it's mostly dominated by females in the nursing industry, particularly not necessarily doctors and all the other positions, but nurses tend to be mostly female. I almost wish it wasn't that way, because men bring a lot to the field. I feel like they definitely have a place where they, you know, could have a niche in the nursing industry. So they're always recruiting and trying to get more males into that field.
Have you ever used preconceived bias or opinion regarding competency or expectations based on gender?
As a general rule, no. I try to see everybody equally. However, there are instances. I work in a women's health unit. I mean, there are things that women are going to understand better than men, having had babies, nursed babies. So in that aspect, I guess, yes, there are things that I would expect them to have a little more connection to than a man. But as far as giving deference to one or the other or expecting more, we try to keep it pretty even, but there are some things that just by natural way of things, women are going to understand a little better with women's health.
Do you have a leader that you look up to or try to emulate?
I would say that our old manager that has since moved on and become more of an administrator in the hospital, I really looked up to her, because she would jump in on a busy day and lead by example. So she didn't stay firmly in the office manager job. She would scrub up and come in and help us. There was several shifts that she jumped in and took over on a labor patient and, you know, stumbled her way through it, having not done it every day, but we really appreciated her, you know, willing to get her hands dirty kind of leadership style.
I'm glad that Jenny brought that part up about you know, leading from the front, or not afraid to get your hands dirty. You know, leaders should set the example for others to follow. I'm a huge proponent of that, and that's how I conducted myself as a leader for a long time. And it actually took my management skills to know when not to do that. A lot of times in special forces, we'd be on a mission, helicopter would hit the ground. I always made sure that I was the first one off, first one to step foot on the ground, and the last person, you know, to get back onto the helicopter when we did an evacuation or when we were leaving an objective. But at the same time, being a medically trained person, because I was a former medic on the team, or even I was the medic on the team, I had to take a step back from my instinct to want to lead from the front, you know, apply some critical thinking and tell myself, no, Jay, this time you have to let someone else go first, because if you're the first person off, you get injured or killed, you know, you're not going to have any medical support. So as a leader, I naturally wanted to jump right in, be that first guy, lead by example. You know, infantry lead the way, or Rangers lead the way, I'm the infantry, follow me. These are mottos that I've built up over my entire career, and, you know, has, you know, developed my leadership and how I lead. But sometimes you can't always do that as a leader, and, you know, you have to know when to draw that line and take a step back, allow your subordinates and allow your peers to put faith in them. It's not that I didn't have faith in them, but, you know, yet sometimes you have to know when to step back too. All right, I'm just going over some of the assignment details, and the last one is provide a conclusion that summarizes some of the important points. I think Jennifer did a very good job of explaining the difference between leadership and management and how she's applied it to her job. And some of the takeaways that I wanted to include in some sort of conclusion was, first, that experience doesn't just make a good leader, it also makes it easier to lead. Jennifer kind of covered that, and I believe that as well. That definitely does make a huge difference. Second one, we love leaders who are willing to get their hands dirty. It's motivating, to see someone that you admire, someone you look up to, to be down in the trenches, getting their hands dirty, doing, the nug work, doing the things that you think are mundane but necessary. You want to advance out of those positions. So to see a leader come down to that level and show that they're not above that is really motivating, I think, for people. Third one, gender does play a role, and in certain cases for good reason. As an obstetrics nurse, I think that is definitely one of those areas where that counts as, being okay to be a little gender biased, as far as empathy and sympathy and just knowing what your patients are experiencing, what they're going through. As a man, I can't relate to that at all. Lastly, confidence. Confidence is a quality that I admire in a leader, and that we think we'd like to see in managers and leaders, because if we don't have faith in them, then we don't have faith in the direction that they're leading us, which could be failure. So I think we should definitely be confident in our leaders, and our leaders should display confidence. Us as leaders, we should be confident. I hope you enjoy this little video. I'm going to finish up the last few details and blast it off to you. Thanks a lot, and I hope you enjoy your week. Thank you.